Thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues.
financial expert, Baba Adini of Lagos, Ikorodu.
Mr. President, thank you very much, Mr. President, for all the accolades. Thank you. I appreciate it, sir. Yes, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, my name is Adetokunbo Abiru, and I represent Lagos East Senatorial District. I would equally like to join my colleagues in all of the commendations that they have extended to the President and the Commander-in-Chief regarding the landmark budget proposals that was presented yesterday. As we may all recall, the budget christened the budget of restoration, securing peace, and rebuilding prosperity, like we all know, is anchored on the renewed hope agenda. So the budget rides on the gradual gains that we have experienced, on the bold and inevitable and necessary reforms that are designed to reset the economic framework of Nigeria for prosperity and growth. Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, as we all know, all economic plans and projections rely very strongly on ability to generate revenue so as to fund such plans. So my comments, in support of all that my distinguished colleagues have mentioned, will now be around the projections for the budget and equally the revenue. And from what I have seen so far, I think that looking at the revenue profile of this current administration, we will all agree that we have seen gradual improvement in revenue accretion. Taking a cue from 2024, the projection for 2024 was about 24 trillion. And as at the end of the third quarter of this year, the government had achieved close to about 75%. So that tells me that the ability to generate the projected revenue for last year is almost, probable, and of course because the context has been set. Equally important is the oil production projection, and I think that from all of the investment that we have seen lately, just yesterday, I think there was another bid round done by the NUPRC, and of course there are indications of interest in our oil reserves, and so the production ability clearly will be improved. And of course, the projection for 2 million barrels, I think, is also probable. Now, the exchange rate is also very important, and I've seen and I've realized that some of my colleagues too have made comments around it. I think the 1,500 is equally reasonable if we look at all of the improvements that we have seen around what the CBN has done. We have seen and have had.
Baba, do you have 1 minute remaining?
We have seen and we have heard that we have had improved remittances, and both in terms of volume and of course foreign portfolio investment and all of that. And today we have an accretion of about $42 billion. So that tells me that the ability to stabilize the naira is also not in doubt. Importantly, and I must say this, in the area of inflation as well, I think there are concerns around inflation. But I think that as much as it appears a tall order, because the projected rate is about 15%, and where we are today is about 36 or 34 thereabout. But I also believe that with all of the plans of government in terms of interventions in the areas of recapitalization of both the Bank of Agriculture and of course the Federal Mortgage Bank, Nexim Bank and co, I think that those interventions will bring about the required coordination between the monetary and fiscal authorities that will most likely reduce the rate of inflation growth. So to me as well, I want to agree with my colleagues that this is a budget that will reset our macroeconomic indices for stability. So I also implore my other colleagues to support the budget as proposed. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, distinguished colleagues. Normally, time is always